A couple of hours, I came across some really good stuff. But then I realised I was supposed to be looking for best man speeches. I did in fact find some great speeches. Sadly, however, none of them were about a couple called Steve and Alicia. To be fair, Alicia did buy me a book, and around 9 months ago, I started reading it. All about the duties and responsibilities of the best man. And after reading a few pages, I was not so sure. As I quote, "At the reception, the best man should help keep things running smoothly by offering a round of drinks and introducing people. So according to the book, I should be buying you all a round of drinks." So you can see why I gave up on this idea. I didn't pick up this book again until Friday night. And flipped through a few more pages, which has a list of do's and don'ts for the speech. No mention of ex-girlfriends. Don't swear, no rude jokes, no lies, and tell stories about the groom. So where do I start with Steve? For starters, he's charming. Well, what can I say about a man who come from humble beginnings? A man who is now quickly rising to the very top of his profession, based on intelligence, good looks, grit, and the willpower to push on where others have fallen. A man who is starting to distinguish himself at the very highest level amongst his peers, and when none can say a bad word about him. But enough about me. What I'm here to talk about is Stephen Peter David Lewis. Born December the 22nd, 1985, to Mother Patricia and Father David, weighing a surprisingly small 9 pounds.
You got that wrong.
With sisters Sam and Jo. Although outnumbered by females, Steve never felt out of place, especially as he used to turn his sisters' t-shirts into dresses so he could fit in and play with them. Stephen grew up in Shrewsbury and then moved on to Southchurch. Had a great passion for Teletubbies. And I think he won't mind me saying that his favourite was Tinky Winky. Even at a young age, Steve seems to develop a lot quicker than those around him. And as he constantly reminds us of his huge enjoyment of Chucklevision. I think he made a Barry chuckle. In 1997, Steve attended Shoeburyness High School, which is where I first met him, in Form 7A2. Every day Steve was turned up impeccably dressed, no hair out of place, or on his head, cleanly shaven, and I'd always be compared to him on his appearance, which really frustrated me. But looking at the picture today, how can I compare to this? As Steve got older, his standards and priorities seemed to change. Even the night before his maths GCSE, he went out on the booze and ended up rushing back, almost missing his exam, from a young 49-year-old lady's house. Whilst we were all scribbling down our maths GCSE, Steve was more than happy to disclose all the details of his previous night's work. After 5 years at school and an extra 3 years at sixth form, it was time to move on. We continued our education in Birmingham. 3 hugely enjoyable years, and so many stories, which I'm just going to go through very quickly. The Pro Evolution calendar, the Puma cricket bat, the pub golfs, the sports tour, Steve playing basketball for me when he was drunk, the cinema trips where no one else was in the film except for me and Steve, the numerous amount of freshers' weeks and all the nights out, tennis with balls. Steve put his IKEA flat pack of drawers together without a screwdriver, and it took him about 5 hours. The sports cafe events, Chicken Wing Thursdays, and Southend vs Man United, and Danny Webber helping West Ham stay up. Another one of Steve's great things was finishing other people's dinners. Now, unfortunately, on this one incident, she left to get her phone from her room. As she come back, Steve had just finished her dinner. And this wasn't the first time. The beautiful Christmas dinner we had with the bleeding carcass. And the last, but most unforgettable, is the most amazing Valentine's breakfasts by Chef Alicia. During those 3 years, Steve managed to lose most, if not all, of his dignity. Whilst introducing his new name, Mickey. I won't explain it to you. Steve being Steve, made sure he left university with a bang. And should have been blacklisted from all the travel lodges in the entire world. However, that is a story definitely not suitable for today. But pictures do say 1,000 words. Steve has always managed to be picked out of a crowd. When we went to Loughborough on a school trip, walking down the wet road, a big lorry decided it would drive through a puddle at speed and soaked Steve, who had to sit in wet clothes to have dinner, and again in an empty cinema. And only a few years ago, when we were walking into town, I insisted we walked on the underpass. However, Steve being Steve wanted to take the roundabout. So, walking over the roundabout, Steve in the middle, myself on the inside and Giles on the outside, we hear it crack. We carry on walking. About 2 seconds later, we noticed something trickling down Steve's head and onto his shoulders. He'd been involved in a hit and run. Someone had launched an egg straight at him on his new shirt. To be fair though, it was a cracking night. July the 3rd, 2005. I can say that I witnessed two of the most beautiful moments to start Steve and Alicia's relationship. First, Alicia turning to Steve and using his famous four-worded trademark chat-up line, "I'm going to ruin you." And then to finish the evening, just imagine the scene in Lady and the Tramp. Instead of the Italian restaurant, a local kebabi. Instead of spaghetti bolognese, a dirty, greasy garlic bread. However, there was something beautiful about this. Knowing Steve for a long time, and knowing he has a pretty terrible taste, especially when it comes to his Blue Russian affair. It took me a while to get to know Alicia, but my impression of her was a lovely, witty, kind of charming, smart, friendly and thoughtful person. But she has now ruined that by agreeing to marry Steve. Speaking of Alicia, I must say how beautiful she looks today in that dress. In fact, Steve said to me just before the service it would blend in nicely with the rest of the kitchen. Whilst on the internet, I found some words of advice for you, Steve. Firstly, set the ground rules and establish who's boss. Then do everything Alicia says. Always remember those 3 little words. You're right, dear. Remember the 5 rings. Engagement, wedding, suffering, torturing and enduring. And don't forget, if you buy her flowers, she'll know you're guilty. And she'll remember to the second the last time you bought her flowers and why. Steve, I must say how lucky you are. Today you leave here with a wife who is loving and caring. And Alicia, how lucky are you today? You are leaving here gaining a gorgeous dress and a lovely bouquet of flowers. Just before I finish, I'd like to tell you why I asked Steve to place his hand on top of Alicia's. Because Steve, for at least the last 10 minutes, you've had the upper hand on your relationship. I'd like to finish by saying what a great honour it has been to be Steve's best man. And I'm glad today he has finally admitted I am the better man. I hope you two have a great honeymoon in North Wales in the summer, as Steve did tell me he's going to Bangor for a week. after and happily ever after. And Stephen and Louise shall start their new life. Please stand and toast with your husband and wife. Stephen and Alicia.
That was fantastic. I was trying to do it.